Our goal here is to create a wonderful world together, and to do that, we have to encourage curiosity and open-mindedness. Here to help with that is my guest, Flat Earth Dave, host of the Flat Earth podcast. Welcome, Dave. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Laura. When we say open-minded, you mean so open-minded that you might even consider that the Earth is not a globe? Isn't that
Absolutely.
That's not a step
Absolutely.
too far? Because I thought it was a step too far.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I would love to know what made you go from that to, okay, I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I was looking into, I was doing a conspiracy podcast. Now, do you know the definition of the word conspiracy?
Tell me.
Somebody who figures out stuff before everybody else does. Okay? So I'm a conspiracy analyst. I've done a podcast on all sorts of conspiracies, looking into all of the big deceptions. We don't have to get into those right now. And then in the third year of the podcast, people started sending in, hey, have you looked into flat Earth? And I was just like, are you kidding me? Delete. Oh, you're going to post that again? Ban for life. You're too stupid to listen to our podcast. And then finally, another researcher who I respect very much, Sophia Smallstorm, she's like, Dave, you got to look into this. And I went in with a closed mind, unlike your podcast, open mind, consider everything. I went in, I'm going to debunk flat Earth, prove the globe, and get rid of all of these mindless idiots that are trying to discredit the truth movement. And for 2 weeks, I tried. And the harder I tried, the deeper the hole went. And then I was like, they call flat earthers science deniers. We actually use science. The heliocentric model, as we'll discover today in this conversation, everything about it is pseudoscience. We think the word science is not science. The word science is just a word. The scientific method is the scientific method, and it is not used in the heliocentric globe model at all.
Why not?
Well, because it can't, because it can't. The first thing is when you think about flat Earth, this is what Google will serve you, right? This is what Google serves you, and this is not flat Earth. This is what they want you to think it is, right? This is stupid. This is ridiculous. That's my shirt. It says, "You're not stupid. It's stupid," right? Because you'll be trying to figure things out, and you'll be like, I can't make sense of that. The reason you can't make sense of it is because it's not true. This is not flat Earth, right? So what is flat Earth? Flat Earth is where we live. It's the reality. This is a balloon at 127,000 feet. And we have the Earth down here below. Now the balloon's just drifting. The sun's going to come around a little bit. You can see kind of like a hot spot near the sun. How can the sun be 93 million miles away and have a hot spot like it's a local light? And the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour to the east. So it's down there spinning 1,000 miles an hour. So that balloon should land 3,000 miles out in the ocean. It's up there for 3.5 hours. It should be 3,000 miles to the west. But it actually landed 100 miles in front of where it took off. So it went up, had to gain speed just to keep up with the circle of the Earth because it's higher, it's making a bigger circle, and somehow leapfrogged in front of the spinning Earth. Or maybe just the Earth is flat, as every test, every observation, everything we've ever experienced says it's flat, level, and non-moving. But just what we've been told, which rhymes with sold, by the Rockefeller-funded textbooks tells us otherwise.
So why would they do that?
Why would they lie? You know what? This is fantastic. You win. You just won, by the way. All right? You just won. Because I judge people, and that in a nice way. Because people will go, what about seasons? What about sunsets? What about, boats over the horizon? What about Eratosthenes and Six and Shadows? And then as you take away each one of those beliefs with new information, they finally throw their hands up and say, well, why would they lie? Because they realize that none of the stuff that they believed, so it's like, I'm just going to get away from that. Why would they lie? Without a motive, why would they lie? And usually it takes people 5, 10 questions before they do that. The podcast they did just before this, it took them 3 questions. Never before did anyone do it in 0 questions. So you win. The why to lie, let's get into that. Why to lie is because if they can convince you that you're an insignificant speck from a big bang and that you evolved from pond scum when lightning struck after nothing was what existed and exploded into everything and created balls and atmospheres and space vacuums and stars and suns and solar systems. And then lightning struck, created an amoeba. It grew into a monkey, and the monkey turned into a human. They can convince you of anything. They can convince you that breathing on grandma will kill her. They can convince you that money is real. They can convince you that government is above God. They can convince you that you are powerless. They can convince you that life is working for material goods and riches, and then you can retire and go to the beach when you're old and decrepit and on 15 lifelong medications. They can convince you of anything if they have you lost in expanding space and insignificant. The truth is, we are at the center of creation, and we are incredible, powerful beings. We are pieces, spark. I look at it as we are sparks of God. We are part of God's mind, and we have incredible powers. They don't want you to know about your history. They don't want you to know about what was here before us just a couple hundred years ago. They don't want you to know anything, and they tell us stories about the Wild West. They tell us, for thousands of years, it was the Dark Ages and horrible and nothing. But in the last 150 years, we discovered everything, and we have computer chips now, and we have cell phones, and we can FaceTime with people in other countries while walking down the street and, in the middle of nowhere, right? Where did that come from? How did that happen just in the last 100 years, right? How did that happen? And the truth is, this is all being reintroduced to the world. There was a reset that happened in, we believe it's the 1750 area, so around 1750, where the world was repopulated with new people. That's us. Here we are. Wow, that's a lot, right? Now,
We've come a long way from, the world is flat to
one more
that.
thing, one more thing. Do not believe anything I say today, because belief is the lazy man's knowing. Belief is the enemy of knowing, as Crow 777 Radio says. And it's easy to believe. Like if I told you I lived in Connecticut, and then later during the show, I say, where do I live? You say Connecticut. And I say, do you believe that, or do you know it? You believe it because why would he say it? He said it. It seems unimportant. It's got to be true. You made a whole bunch of judgments and you stored that as truthful information, but it's a belief. You don't know it, right? To know anything, you really have to take the time and effort and actually think. But in college, in school, in high school, in elementary school and everything, they don't teach you how to think. Most teachers, there's a very few. They teach you how to memorize and regurgitate.
Yes.
Okay. And if you are awesome at memorizing and regurgitate, you get a degree and you can become a professor and teach it yourself to the next generation. Doesn't make it true. I always say, don't follow the masses because, everyone thinks the earth is a globe, because sometimes the M is silent. Don't follow the masses. Get it? All right. It's a little joke, but it's kind of true. All right.
So let's go back to the 250 years ago, the earth was repopulated.
Oh, that's a good one, right?
What happened 250 years ago?
Well, 350 years ago.
Okay.
They didn't do too well in math there. I'm just kidding. I said 1750, right? That is 350, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. It's all right. You're on the fly here. So again, here's the thing. People that believe that we live on a globe think they know everything. Flat earthers know that we don't know everything. We don't know a lot. And we don't know why there was a reset, how it happened, where it happened, when it happened. But we have evidence. And by the way, once you start looking down this road, what can I ask where you live? Approximately city, state, just where you live? Virginia. All right. Everywhere in Virginia are buildings from the old world, right? There's a movie that just came out this year, and Stu Peters helped promote it. It was done by Sean Hibbler, called Old World Order. This is the intro movie to the old world. Watch it tonight. It's free on YouTube. It's on my website, flatearthdave.com. There's a big banner that says Old World Order. Watch it. I think it's like 90 minutes. It's awesome. It's well done. Watch it. And then it's just going to point towards a whole bunch of doors. And now you're going to see those doors that were never there. And the next time you go out, you're going to look at that church and that building and that basilica and whatever. And you're going to be like, wow, how did I never see that? You're going to look at, why are there windows underground, right? There was a mud flood all over the earth, right? There's photographs of the Transcontinental Railroad not being built, being excavated from under the mud, right? It things aren't what they told us. And what does that have to do with flat Earth? Nothing and everything. Okay. The truth is, our world is not billions of years old. Evolution is a lie. I think you know that. Just looking at your face, I think you know evolution's a lie, right? Or you're not sure? Haven't really thought
I
about
don't
it?
know.
Okay, that's okay. I don't know is the greatest answer ever.
I
It's
agree.
yeah, it's a great answer. So I'll just show you a couple things of the old world. You know, you might have you ever heard of the word Tataria?
Yes.
So Tataria, and if you look at, it's hard to see in this picture here, but on Henry Kissinger's new book, Tataria is right on the map. I think it's right there. It's hard for me to say, but there, it's like they kind of stick this stuff right in our face, right? Today, with modern equipment and an unlimited budget, this would take years to build, right? Years. This was built before the power tool, before the motor, before when they had horses and buggies with people with hammers and chisels, and it's probably built in 1 to 2 years, is the story behind it, right? That's just one thing, right? This is, you know, you got mud streets, you got people in their horse and buggy wagons. Where did this come from? What is all of this stuff on the top, right? What are all of these these things, right? And in every city you look, you'll see buildings like this. Like, why are the windows underground? Did they just build it that way, or did something happen and they didn't bother to dig it out? And then you'll also see many pictures of these giant buildings, giant doors, all sorts of stuff, and there's never any people. Very few. I think I got two guys right here, right? So these cities were here. Like the story of the Wild West, San Francisco was here before the Wild West. If you look into the world's fairs, there it's incredible. The story behind it makes absolutely no sense. And again, I'm not even scratching the surface here. I'm buffing the surface. We haven't even gotten through it. We haven't even gotten to a scratch. If you watch Old World Order, and then there's a YouTube channel called My Lunch Break. It's on YouTube, it's on every channel. Just start watching those videos and you'll be hooked. These people, horse and buggy people, built all of these buildings. I think this is Manhattan, right? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And you'll find everywhere in the world, there's cities, underneath pyramids. There's other stuff. They just found a temple in India, like 40 meters under the ground, like a gigantic temple buried. No one knew about it. How'd that happen? How'd that happen? Right? In the middle of nowhere, you know, you have these castles and they always have this interesting, we call it antiquitech. I'm not sure what you want to call it. And there's a lot of theories that it's harvesting energy from the air. It's harvesting energy from the air, right? The 1915 World's Fair, I think this was San Francisco, had these buildings, but this is a picture from 1878 and the buildings were already there. A little hard to see here, but the buildings were already there when they supposedly built it in 1915 for the World's Fair. So they're lying about everything. Do you know about the giant bells?
I think so. Tell
Yeah,
me.
the giant bells were everywhere. And
Yeah.
so the bells were, I believe, were healing bells. And you know, I just heard somebody was talking recently, a show was talking about it, where when a hurricane was coming, they would ring the bells and it would break
Yeah.
up the hurricane, right?
Yeah.
So I have an Apple Watch, right? And I swim. And then when I'm done swimming, I have to press the button and it uses a sound to blow the water out of it. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And so they took all these bells. You know why they destroyed the bells? They needed them to make bullets for World War, for World War I or World War II, whatever one it was, right? So they destroyed all of the bells. And a lot of places started hiding their bells when they knew they were coming from them. They'd bury them and all sorts of stuff. This is a picture. Do you know what this is?
No.
That's the Washington Memorial in Washington, D.C. in like before Columbus got here. I'm not sure when this is. I forget the date on this one, but this is what was here already. It was here, and there's a construction picture where they were doing some renovations. There's another building underneath that building. There's
Yeah.
like it's another building. Here are some of the bells. These aren't even the big ones. This is them when they were gathering them up. It's kind of fascinating. And then have you looked into giants? These are not giants. These are just large people. Okay. There's bigger giants. Okay. This woman, I think, might be 12 feet tall, or 14 feet tall. This is like a 6 foot man right here. These are people. These are big people. These aren't even giants.
So where did those pictures come from?
They're all over the place. And there's videos too. I'm going to show you where to find some of them. Again, I'm showing you pictures. I'm telling you stuff. Do not walk away from this podcast believing anything I say. You need to verify everything. Here is these buildings up here. And then if you look down, like, what is all of this? Where did all of this come from underneath these buildings? In New York, they were repaving a road and they found out that there was buildings underneath the road. Buildings underneath the road that they didn't even know of when they were digging them out. And then if you look into star forts, these are everywhere in the world. And they say, oh, they're forts for wars, but they're all cymatic patterns. They're everywhere on Earth. They're in the middle of the jungle in the Amazon. They're out on off the tip of the Florida Keys on tiny little islands, and they're gigantic, and they're all sacred geometry, energetic systems. And again, the amount of building, like when they were supposedly built and what they're for, we have no idea. We have no idea, but we can know one thing for sure. They're not what they told us. They're everywhere. And they always have water, and they have these very deliberate fractal shapes to them. The Statue of Liberty is on a star fort. I think is that the Statue of Liberty? Not sure which one that is. That might be the Statue of Liberty. But they're everywhere in the world, and they're, you're familiar with sacred geometry and harmonics and all of that stuff. This world is not what they tell us. You are a powerful creator. Your mind creates your world, right? Look at your life. It's your fault, right? You brought all of the stuff you have into your life to your life. If your life is really not going well, look at your thoughts. Look at what you're thinking. Look how other people are influencing you. Nobody should be able to influence you. People could set an example for you and you could take it or leave it, but nobody has any control over you. Well, the control, meant is the mind, wants to be on top of you, on top of God. They want you to willingly, because they're not allowed to take it, give up your free will that God gave you. So they'll tell you, oh, there's a mandate. Oh, you have to do this. Oh, you're required to do this, right? If the government admitted that the earth was flat and the earth was flat goes right along with it was created by a creator, then they could only make laws that obeyed that world's laws. But when you're born, if they commoditize you, give you a a birth certificate, trade you on the stock market, and tell you live on a globe, you're now playing on their ball field with their ball rules, playing with their fiat currency. Your parents have contracted you into slavery, and you're playing with their rules, with their fiat currency.
So what are the options?
Another good question. You're doing great. You're doing fantastic. What difference does it make? I'm only one person. I can't make any change. That's a psyop. One person awake is more powerful than millions of people sleeping.
I agree.
They cannot take away our free will. That's all you have to remember. They're not allowed to. Now they can trick you. They always have to show you. They can't put a bear trap in the woods covered in leaves and not say anything about it. They have to put a sign saying, warning, bear trap, right? And then if you step in it, it's your fault. Okay? So they always tell us what they're doing. Like literally, they always tell us. I don't want to get into other conspiracies because then that just goes down a whole nother thing. But they tell us about all of them. They tell us about all of them ahead of time. They tell us all the time. So what different? Oh, here's the New York. I think this is the New York one. They're renovating to build a building, and they found all these buildings underneath the road. Like, weird. What happened to them? Right? I remember years ago, I think it was the 6th Avenue tunnel. They were going to build this new tunnel, and then boom, it's built. I'm like, how the heck did you build that tunnel underneath New York City that fast? It was already there, right? If you look into Penn Station was an amazing building from the old world, and they tore it down and rebuilt it as a piece of garbage that it is now because it was too hard to clean. If you look at the old pictures of Penn State, this is an old, I think this it's in Germany. I'm not sure. This is a power plant. It's just harvesting energy and they're using balloons to hold these wires in the air. Like I did an experiment. I have a drone. I got thin copper wire and I put it way up in the air. And you grab that wire, you get electrocuted. It's just, there's energy in the air. It's everywhere. But they want us to pay for power, pay for food, pay to live. What if you had a device the size of a roll of quarters that could power your car forever, heat and air condition your home to any temperature you want? In the summer, you can crank it up to, the air conditioning so you have icicles on your windows. And in the winter, you can turn it into a sauna and you're not going to pollute the environment and it's all free. Would that change your life?
Yes.
Darn right it would. Darn right it would. They have us working for power, right? Nuclear power plants are just boiling water. High-tech way to boil water. That's all they're doing, boiling water and turning pistons. They're just putting plutonium or whatever it is that they're using to heat the water. They turn pistons. It's not nuclear fusion, right? If you didn't have any fear in your life, you know what fear is? It's false evidence appearing real, right? Like, are you worried that the conflict between China and Russia and the crazy people in North Korea could start a nuclear war? That on the back of your conscience, like, damn, that would suck, right?
Yeah.
What if I told you nuclear bombs don't exist? Oh, here he goes. He's off the deep end now. Flat Earth. Now, no nuclear bombs, right? Right? Do not believe anything I say. On my website, flatearthdave.com, there's a big banner. It's all nuclear bombs, and it says nuclear bomb hoax. There's a set of podcasts there. Information being researched for you so you can be lazy and just listen to it and then verify it later. There's no way you can listen to that and believe that nuclear bombs are real. The default thing that people say is, well, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? 3 days later, the sandwich shops were open. They were selling flowers on the street. Everyone was back to work. The trains were running. Everything was good. And nobody was allowed to take a picture or write an article. And if they did, they went to jail, except one guy. One guy was the only one allowed to report on what was going on there. It's all total fear porn. It's just to keep us scared. Like when I watch the news now, and I don't watch the news, I believe it gives you cancer. But if the news is on in the background and I hear some blah, 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 and it could be a nuclear bomb, I immediately see clown noses on all of them and colorful clown wigs. And I just laugh. Everybody in my body, every cell in my body just kind of rejoices and goes, what a clown. Meanwhile, somebody that believes nuclear bombs are real, believes politics are not just a big stage, every cell in your body is now not at ease or dis-ease. Yeah. Right? Yeah. They want us sick and tired and on their pharmaceutical drugs. Any cured customer is a lost customer. That's their motto in the healthcare, in the sick care.
Agreed.
Didn't know we're going to go here, right? There's so many different things. This is the temple in Salt Lake City. They didn't even have cement factories or lime factories when they built this thing. Okay, look how small the people are. Look at the little tiny people. Have you ever seen this? This is incredible. What are all these for? Again, this is harvesting energy. I don't think these were churches. I think these were energy healing centers. Where people. One of the stories is that the last civilization, they had free energy and healing, and the world population did get out of control. I believe it was in the hundreds of billions of people. And the world was reset. Who reset it? God, devil, evil people? I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to even speculate. But the world was reset. And then here's another rabbit hole. Orphan trains. Ever hear about that?
No.
Another rabbit hole. So, and I think it's the late 1800s. I forget. I forget the dates exactly. Maybe it was early 1900s. Everywhere in the world, millions of children showed up on trains with no recollection of who their parents were, and repopulated all of the cities. It was children everywhere. Remember the Little Rascals? I'm a little older than you.
Yeah.
All right. Little Rascals. No parents. Orphanages, right? Orphanages. Is that a word? Orphanages. Say that word. Say that word. Multiple places where orphans go. What is the word?
Orphanage.
Or no, multiple places, multiple
Multiple orphanages.
orphanages. All right, I did get it. I did get it. I say I'm a bilingual illiterate. I can't read or write in two languages. Um, Again, always look at the tops of these buildings. And there's one in Thailand, there's actually more than one, where you can see the energy shooting off of these things. You can see the electricity shooting off of them when they're powered up. How it works, I couldn't tell you. Amazing, right?
So the wheels, and I know I'm not saying anything. The wheels in my head are turning because I'm starting to connect some dots with things that I've seen and experienced. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting, you know.
This, I believe, is one of the World's Fairs. Like this was, I think this is the World's Fair. Let me find another one. But these World's Fairs were built in like 2 years. They had it for 6 months and then they tear it down. I think they just went into these places. They whitewashed them. That's called whitewashing. They painted everything white to make it look as new as they could. They displayed what they want the new society to look like, and then they tear them down, and that's how they literally kick off the new society. Right now, there's a World's Fair going on in what's that high tech city where the Muslims are, like the giant building. I'm spacing out. Uh,
Mecca?
no, no, they're just the one. It's like the new financial capital of the Middle East, where they have the islands. Come on, everyone's screaming at this listing right now. It'll come to me. But they have their World's Fair there, and they're showing what they want the world to look like. Back at these World's Fairs, they had baby incubators. Come see the babies. People are looking at them like they've never seen a baby before. And you could buy a baby at the World's Fair. And you could mail a baby back then. You can get a baby via the post office. Rabbit holes are deep. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. And again, anyone that says they know for sure exactly what happened, when it happened, they're taking a bunch of leaps of faith. They could be right, right? Like what is going on? And these places that they literally are buried inside mountains, inside landscapes. Like when was this built? What is going on here? Right? It could be, yeah, somebody who's really into building something. But there was some sort of event that seemed to have, I don't want to say melted, but buried, liquefied, transformed lots of these buildings. Look at these people here. These people in their little gowns built this with these giant doorways. There's doorways like in Prague where some of these doorways, the locks are 20 feet in the air, like the bar.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, I've seen those.
It's for different people, a different people.
What happened to them?
I don't know. There's stories like in Afghanistan, the Afghanistan giant that was up in the mountains. There's a lot of special ops stories about it. Again, there's stories. I have no proof. They think that there's a lot of war, a lot of fighting, a lot of people, doing a lot of bad things. So there's stories of these giants eating people because they got so big and so hungry there wasn't enough food, and they would just eat the small people. And there's all sorts of stuff. But like I'm here in Connecticut. Am I? And there's in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is kind of a rundown city. There's steeples, like these giant old world steeples everywhere. There's just giant steeples. Like if you get up high above where you can see for miles and miles and miles, like the Who, we can see for miles and miles and miles. That's because the Earth is flat. If it was curved, you wouldn't be able to see that far. You'll see steeples sticking up. Go visit those steeples. Don't believe anything they say about them. Go see what's going on there. It's amazing. We have all of these buildings and dirt roads and people, that just look out of place. There's videos and movies and all sorts of stuff that'll show you, like these people just don't look like they belong. And then the houses they built are just crappy little houses around these palaces. The story of Abe Lincoln lived in a log cabin, right? Meanwhile, down the road, there was a palace that we couldn't build today, like a gigantic palace. down the road from where Abe Lincoln's supposed to live at the same time. It was there before him, but he's living in a log cabin. These are just stories. Okay. These are stories. I think it was either Abe Lincoln or George Washington was a giant. If you go to the Washington Memorial, I think it's George Washington or Abe Lincoln, that he was a giant, like a 25-foot tall giant.
Literally?
Literally, like a giant, like real giants. There was giants here. There's no question that there was giants here. And that's why they invented, ready? Another rabbit hole. Here we go. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were invented. There are no dinosaurs. They invented them to hide, another rabbit hole. Ready? There's lots of holes. To hide giant human bones. They could just say dinosaur. And to hide dragons. Dragons are mythical, right? Explain to me why the Chinese have 13 animals, all 12 real and one fake, on their zodiac. What's the logic behind that? There is no
Yeah,
logic.
that doesn't make sense.
There is no logic behind that, right? It makes no sense whatsoever. If let me show you something real quick. So this is my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and right here, the griffin. That's the symbol of Tartaria. This is the old world page, and here are some great resources. This is Jake. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. If you're looking for short stuff, he's on Instagram. Great short videos. Boom. He just throws stuff out there. Mind blowing. Blimps, airships. There used to be airships all over the world. Like we look at a blimp, like, oh, blimp, that's kind of cool. It'd be kind of fun to take a blimp ride, the Goodyear blimp. That's not a blimp. That's a little toy. They had airships like cruise ships with thousands of people on them, estate rooms, bars, dance halls on these ships. And they could dock anywhere in the world. And they travel all across the world. Only work on a flat earth, a non-spinning flat earth. My lunch break, I think I mentioned that before. Start watching his videos. Warn you, if you start watching my lunch break videos, you're finished. Cancel your cable service, cancel Netflix, cancel it. Just start watching this guy and it'll blow you away. All sorts of stuff in here. The giant trees, start looking into the giant trees.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. And there isn't one answer for everything. Not everything is a giant tree. Not everything is a petrified titan. Not everything is anything, right? There's all sorts of stuff here, but this world was a gigantic place. But on the images section here, if I go in dragons, there we go. So this is a dictionary from 1946, and it says dragon, a huge serpent, if now rare. Number one, now rare. Why would they say now rare? Can you think of a reason other than they're now rare? What do you think? Where you want to go now? You want to look at some reasons I think the Earth is flat, or you want to look at some reasons that you might think the Earth is a globe?
I would love to know because in the very beginning, you talked about how they wanted to make us feel inferior. So it's sounding like there is a hierarchy and some spiritual or religious connection to all of this. Am I wrong?
So when you say religious, I think that organized religion is a way to control mankind. They want you either in a religious school or a science school. Both are religions. The science is just a word. The science they teach in school is a religion, right? The Earth is 24,901 miles around. That's a religion. There's no proof of that. The radius is just under 4,000 miles. That's a religion. There's no proof of that. The sun is 93 million miles away. That's a guess. They keep changing it, right? The Venus is the same size as Earth. That's ridiculous. It's provable if you look at the actual numbers. Polaris, our North Star, right? Polaris, our North Star. The Earth is spinning, and on the axis of the spin points towards the North Star. So all the other stars look like they're moving, and Polaris stays right where it is, right? You with me?
Yep.
Okay, so that, I mean, you remember that from school?
Yep.
So Polaris stays right where it is, right? So let's just take a look at that, and I'm going to put this into context for you, right? So we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. That's faster than the speed of sound. We're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Funny number. right? We're chasing the sun at almost a 500,000 miles per hour. The sun never returns to where it was before. It's always moving to a new place. 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where it was before. All of the other stars in our solar system are doing their own motions in their own directions. They say that 90% of the stars are binary, which means they go around each other while they're going around. Okay. Right. And some of them
Yep.
are trinary, which means there's three stars doing crazy patterns, but never once in all of recorded history have any two stars changed position like that due to parallax. Because when you're moving, things change position, parallax, right?
Yep.
Never once have any two stars ever crossed position. Go out tonight, take a picture of the stars, mark down the exact time, the exact date, put an alarm in your calendar to go out and take that exact picture again and compare the stars. None of them will be changed. They'll be exactly the same. But we're 4.5 billion miles from where we were last year. They've moved in their own directions. Never, ever, ever have they ever changed. Now, when I say billion, trillion, the difference between a billion and a trillion?
A lot.
Yeah. See, they don't teach us the law of big numbers, right? So how long do you think 1 trillion seconds is? Just take a guess.
Ooh,
1
I don't
trillion
know.
seconds. 1 trillion seconds. If you guess it within 3 days, I'll give you a Bitcoin.
I don't know.
Want to take a guess? It's just a wild guess. You'll be wrong, guaranteed.
No.
Oh, you won't even take a guess. See, that's kind of smart. Chicken. You're a little bit of a chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 31,000 years. Okay.
Wow.
I gave you a 3-day buffer there. Come on. Right? 31,000 years. That's 1 trillion seconds. They tell us the closest star other than our sun, which is it's just nonsense, is 25 trillion miles away. If you and I were in a rocket ship going a mile per second, which no one's ever gone, and we went for 31,000 years, we're 1/25th of the way to the closest star. We got to do that 24 more times. Okay. If I borrow a rocket from Elon, because he's a good buddy, gives me a rocket, goes 100,000 miles an hour, which is unfathomable. It's only going to take us 28,000 years to get there. And when we get there, we go, oh, look, there's no life on these planets. Where's the next star? Oh, it's 100 times farther. Okay. That's a problem. Heliocentric space is to dilute your mind, to make you go, I don't have a PhD. I don't have, I don't know anything about that. Let's just talk about how fast this is, how fast these motions are. This is a rocket sled by NASA. It goes by a Mach 8.6. Ready, watch. Did you see it?
Yep.
Barely saw it.
Yeah.
Like if I had the sound on, the sound is shocking. The shock wave. Watch again. You don't see it. I mean, you can tell it just by. Can you imagine what double that speed is? You probably can't.
No.
Right?
No.
So you have to believe, right? We live on a lumpy rock surrounded by smooth water, surrounded by air that's spinning and orbiting. It's orbiting 10 times faster than that in an elliptical orbit, changing direction, speeding up and slowing down 10 times faster than this. It's chasing the sun at 100 times faster than that. But when we go out in nature, into reality, we see this. Is this lake moving in 4 different directions at once at incomprehensible speeds, curving and whirling and twirling? Well, you're already going that speed, so I'm imitating the Globers, not you. Okay, you're already going that speed, so you wouldn't notice it. When you're in an airplane, you don't know you're going 500 miles an hour. Well, you kind of do, but if it turns at all, like if you're in a car going 100 miles an hour on a perfectly smooth road, feels pretty good. Fill a dinner plate with water and have that car speed up or slow down or take the slightest turn. That's what the earth is doing. It's spinning and whirling and twirling. The water's gone.
Yeah.
This water isn't going anywhere.
So you converted. You went from being a globist. I'm not sure what the term is.
A globalist.
Globalist to a flat earther. And what difference has that made into your day-to-day life?
You're fantastic. These are the best questions, right? Because normally it takes people a little while to get there. This is fantastic. So the top 3 things are I'm more at peace. because flat Earth has brought me to the realization of all of the other false evidence appearing real or fear. It has made me understand there's no asteroid that's going to hit us. The sun's not going to explode. I don't have to worry about, all of these things. And there's more here. There's more to explore. A greater sense of freedom, more to explore. That I realize I don't have. Flat Earth has taught me that the governments are not here for me, and that I don't have to listen to them. It's true. You don't have to. You just have to know if they come to you and say, we would like you to do this, you could say, oh, thank you. I agree under these terms. And you make your terms absolutely ridiculous. And therefore, you don't have to agree. It's a whole, maritime law thing. And then the third one is a closer connection to the creator. I used to be, and it's embarrassing to say, full on atheist, right? I didn't believe in anything. I didn't know what I believed in. I actually didn't look into it hard enough to really make up my mind what I believed. I just I don't buy into any of these religions, right? And the religious men of the world, the cardinals, they all got together back in I think it's a 1776 or maybe that's close to that date Bible, and they took out the Book of Enoch. They took out all of this stuff that they didn't want people to know, because back then the Bible said that God is within you. But they had to separate God so they can be the middleman. And you need to go through them to get to God. And so that's a religion. I'm not religious. Right? Pseudoscience is ridiculous. Every single religion makes more sense than the pseudoscience of the heliocentric model. But I'm not saying religions make all the sense in the world. And by the way, there's a ton of truth in the Bible. There's a ton of truth in the Quran. There's a ton of truth everywhere. But a lot of it's been corrupted. That's how I see it.
We've covered a lot of ground. If somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm convinced, I want to know more, where is the first place they should look? To create a foundation.
Yeah. So we covered a lot of stuff, right?
We did.
And if you Google, they're going to feed you nonsense. If you Google, Flat Earth Dave, they're going to feed you this debate I did with this horrible, disgusting globe troll that calls himself a professor, but he's not a professor. And it's just, you'll watch it and it'll literally convert, it'll make you go like, okay, that's horrible. I don't want to be like that. And there's tons and tons of information. I'm not the purveyor of all the information. There's actually different ideas in the flat Earth community. Is there a dome? How far does it go beyond the shoreline? Like if we go here, if I just type in map, just to give you an idea, this is Antarctica is the shoreline that contains our water. Large bodies of water at rest need a container, right? You can't take a bath without the sides of the bathtub. Well, the sides of our world bathtub, our world pond, is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Did you know that?
No.
Antarctica, let me just show you real quick. Antarctica, if you take the average height of all the different continents, that's Antarctica.
Wow.
Kind of makes sense, right? It's the container containing the water of our world. So what's in Antarctica? Now, again, we're not allowed to independently explore beyond 60 degrees south, which is this pink line. No one's allowed to independently go there. Now, you could pay 30, 40 grand to go out here to this little peninsula, show you some penguins, charge you 40 grand, and then they'll kick you out. That's it. Show you some ice cores, right? What's out here? This looks bigger than all of this combined. What's out here? We have our world leaders that go to Antarctica all the time, and they disappear for 3 days, and they come back, and then they go home. They come back. They go to a base here. They disappear. Where'd they go? And they never tell us. Maybe that's where the controllers of this world really are. Maybe that's where the fallen angels are. I don't know. I couldn't tell you any of that. But it is fascinating. Just one concept, just so you get the concept. Here is the Gleason's map that was in every library encyclopedia, right? So you got Australia, America, South America, right? This is Antarctica all the way around. This is what's used for navigation, right? What if the world was like this, right? Here we are. This is Antarctica. And out here is more land. Extra territory Let me see if you get this. Nobody gets this. It's the easiest question ever. Don't overthink it. If this is extra territory, extra land, extra terra, and somebody lived on the extra terra out here, what would we call them?
Extraterrestrials.
From where?
Here.
The outer space. The outer
Oh.
space. So they're always telling us, right? Now, what's more likely? That remember that star and the planets that we're going to 25 trillion miles away? That somebody
Yeah.
came here and crashed in Roswell? Or maybe they just came here and crashed in Roswell, right? Like if they're going to come and abduct somebody, their job today is to abduct somebody and probe them. They can go home. They can go leave in the morning after breakfast from their home in the outer space, come abduct somebody and make it home in time for dinner and tuck the kids in. Come on, right?
Yeah,
You don't have
true.
to travel for 28,000 years to crash in Roswell.
True.
Right? And there's so many stories in on the app. So where to go? FlatEarthDave.com. The app is literally, if you really want to get into it, it's in your pocket all the time. It's easy. It's a $3 app. Don't buy my app if you think I'm a scammer, okay? Because every comment on your video is going to be Dave's a scammer, okay? He just wants you to buy his app. Go to my website, scroll down, you'll see a big picture of me. I'm wearing a hat, and it says Crash Course. Click that, and up come a list of awesome documentaries. Amazing, mind-blowing.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
And to start watching those, and I challenge people. I say, watch the first 5 videos, and then if you still think the Earth is a globe, send me 1 proof, and you win 3 Bitcoins.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's like 200 grand. Okay.
Well, I set off to entice people to have an open mind, and you delivered like I can't even believe it.
So again, Laura, do not believe me. Just say, that's interesting. That's all I want is that's
Right,
interesting.
totally,
I want to
totally.
look further and
Yes.
then look further. And then I have to warn you, if you start watching those crash course videos, or if on the app, if you go to the question mark page, which is frequently asked questions like why to lie, great videos there. Great videos, right? Or where does the sun go, or seasons, right? You go, well, what about tides? You'll start watching them. Guaranteed, you're going to not listen to my advice. My advice is don't go running to your friends and loved ones and tell them the earth is flat. You're going to do it, but don't do it until you can answer all of the questions, because they're going to yell at you. They're going to laugh at you. Some of them might go, you know what? I watched this guy, Flat Earth Dave, and he makes some points. So it's getting better than it was, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But start looking at it, and then you will see more and more. And the don't worry about crashing into the bottom of the rabbit hole. There is no bottom. There is no bottom. It's a swan dive. It's beautiful, and there's so much to see on the way. So,
Well, I think we do need to be open-minded and listen to different ideas. You never know where it's going to lead. I didn't know where this was going to lead, and I've been delighted. So thank you so much for being here.
and follow my social media on X. It's Flat Earth Dave X on X, and if you go to flatearthdave.com, all my socials are right there. One of my YouTube channels, DITRH, which is the initials from my podcast, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. All my videos there are under 5 minutes. So you got a lot of short videos. So you can just kind of like taste it. It's kind of like a crack dealer. Just have a little bit. Just have a little bit. Right. And then you'll start watching the longer ones. But there's so much information on the app. This button here, it looks like a web, is some more resources. And we got full length videos here. We got all sorts of stuff. All my interviews are here. When you put your interview up, it'll be right here. And on my website, again, all that stuff is free. You don't have to get the app, right? And just beware, the trolls love me. When you're over the target, you got a lot of flack. They're going to come. They're going to call me a scammer. They're going to say all sorts of stuff, but they will never offer you one globe proof. And if you look at their channel, I call their channels the globe proof channels because there's zero content on them. All of them. They're all trolls. They're all empty bot troll channels. So,
and all of those links are going to be in the show notes, so you can see them all.
It's only one link, flatearthdave.com.
Okay.
It's the only link you got to put in there.
Awesome.
I make it. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great talking to you. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks. You're terrific.
Thanks so much, Laura. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.